Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Hibiscus Society News. Shooting the shit. I'm Ben Donkey Punch Hawk. With me, I got Patrick Henry and Trent Banshee Ortner. We're going to talk about some headlines and current events. Sorry about not having shows. I'm going to start out saying I'm sorry. Haven't been able to put out a lot of episodes. I recently just actually moved across the country. Had to get my internet set up. Had to get everything. You know, if y'all ever moved, and then you take that move and multiply it by like 100 when you move across the country. It's a pain in the ass. And so I haven't been able to do episodes. First episode I've been able to get on for. So
all girls, might I add. All girls. You're the only man in that whole scenario.
Yes, because I'm not just moving me. I'm moving all. I'm a family of 5. So, but I got 3 daughters and a wife. So it's me and 4 girls. Luckily in the truck, it was just me and my dog.
Oh,
so it was beautiful. Like he just laid on the bench seat and just like chilled, and we're just like driving to the truck, and my wife's like, "These fucking kids." I'm like, "Oh well, Ozzy's being a pain in the ass. Like he is totally unbearable and like farting and shit." And he didn't, but I was just trying to make her feel better. So the last thing I wanted was her to be like, "We're gonna stick a kid in the truck. I don't want a kid in the truck." And that truck sucked so bad.
That's a long way.
0 to 70 eventually.
You what?
It was 0 to 70 eventually.
Yeah.
Like just trying to go, and then it's governed at 70, so you'd hit the gas, and you get to 70, and then it would dip down to 65.
Oh,
so you had to be like quick with the cruise control to stay at 70.
Fuck that.
Fucking international piece of shit. I was trying to get a Freightliner. Oh no, I'm just saying the truck they made was the brand of truck I drove was an International.
Yeah,
it was a piece of shit. I was trying to get a Freightliner, but they didn't have any Freightliners. That the rental company didn't have any Freightliners in that size that I needed, and that's why I got stuck with a International. But well, I never had it. It had Bluetooth, and the sound system in it kind of bumped, and the ride wasn't absolutely horrible, but 2-day move. And then and I actually ended up with a pretty good place. So I did it all completely online. Didn't look at any of the neighborhood before I moved in. I'm just like, yep, I'm going to live you approved me? Sweet, I'm living here. I only get gunshots like every other night.
What are the wife? Does she care?
Oh, she's looking at getting her CCW now and staying strapped.
Good.
Which is fine. Of course, I'm like strapped around the house, and she's just like, "You need to stop open carrying in the house." I'm like, "Babe, you know our neighborhood.
You never know."
Okay, you're right. All right, that's fine. So
more comfortable.
Yeah, but so that's just but everything went good. I'm all set up. We're all hunky dory here now, so we'll be able to start doing regular episodes again. God. So I guess I'll start off here. I was perusing Twitter, and this news story popped up on my feed. Businesses unable to find workers urging Governor Abbott to stop extra unemployment aid. Nearly 40 Texas business owners wrote a letter to the governor stating their case for stopping the boost in benefits. So
is that because they can't get people to work?
Well, it's because basically they can't beat the unemployment benefits of what people are getting paid to not work. So I've experienced this in my field, in my job, trying to find people to work. Because I mean, granted, like we pay more than what you get in unemployment benefits, but it's like, hey, if I can live comfortably on unemployment, why the fuck would I go to work? But that's what they're urging. They're trying to urge, and this, the other states are doing the same thing. They're trying to urge governors to take the state incentive off of the unemployment benefits to try to force people to go back to work. Which, I don't know about y'all, my thought process on this is, well, if you paid more, because that's what I've noticed here, places that aren't hiring right now are because they pay more than the places that are trying to find people. So if you pay them more, people go to work.
Right.
It's social collective bargaining.
But here's an interesting thing though: is regardless of the context of right or wrong, socialism is on the rise and its popularity. And some strikes have been getting pretty heavy. There's been strikes in just in the New England states, Maine, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. So that's half of the states in our region that are on strike or have been on strike within the last few weeks. So it's on the rise, the unions and socialism. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah.
Oh, I know, because you've got politicians right now. You got like that. These stimulus checks. Well, it's great. I'm getting the money stolen from me by the government through taxation. I'm getting that back. It's paving the way for a basic universal income and making people more dependent on the government.
Right.
I don't think we've felt the effects of the stimulus checks yet. I think when we feel the effects of the $17 trillion we spent last year, it's gonna be bad.
Oh yeah, because the money comes from somewhere. They're still spending the same amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
All their programs and shit, but now they're adding to it. So they're writing checks without anything to back it up. So who's funding the stimulus checks?
Prices are already on the rise.
Oh, I know.
With everything.
Oh, I know. I mean, there's actually been a few articles talking about how Biden has basically single-handedly destroyed our economy. And we haven't even felt the full repercussions of how fucked we are yet.
No, it's not. It's a long game when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, because eventually these extra benefits are going to run out. Eventually, if God help us if they pass a $15 minimum wage federally, that's going to destroy the job market.
That's going to bankrupt so many businesses.
It's going to take out the only companies that can afford to pay it are the larger ones, and then they'll just drive the prices up for goods because once the small businesses are out of the way, it paves the way for the larger businesses to have a monopoly.
And make it to where there's no choice but to let them have a monopoly or die. Yeah,
no, I mean, I shop at Walmart. I would much rather not shop at Walmart, but the prices are so low and there's so many, it's so conveniently close to my house. I shop there because I just financially, it financially works for me. I mean, if I had the money to spend at the smaller businesses, I would, but they can't. It's a matter of competition. I mean, I still buy things at I still support small businesses and when it comes to certain things, but like my general groceries and shit like that, I can't. What I get for like $400 a month, $400 at Walmart is a lot more than what I get at like $400 at like, Kroger or Central Grocery or any of those smaller, the smaller chains.
Like IGA, like the IGA down the street from me, like it's I would say at least 2.5 times more expensive than going to shop at HEB or Walmart.
Yeah. I mean, when I was in Texas, I was shopping at HEB over Walmart,
right?
Because HEB is smaller. It's got
a bigger selection too. Like HEB's got everything.
And it's all good. It's all good stuff. So I mean, HEB is great. Another one I go to is what the fuck? It's the one that's employee owned.
Aldi's.
It's not Aldi. Aldi's a good one too. Their prices are pretty reasonable.
Costco.
No.
Sam's.
No.
That's not.
So Sam's is Walmart. I don't know. It's a big chain, but they're employee owned. I can't remember the name of them. I'm blanking out. But I shop there, but they don't have the but they don't have the selection of that. I mean, and also, I mean, let's face it. When I go to Walmart, I can get everything at a Walmart.
One store, yeah.
One store. So it's like I'm saving money on not having to drive to 3 different stores. I'm saving money on because the price of the shit is lower.
And as guys, most men don't like to shop.
Oh no! If I could literally do it, go to one. That's why I do it. If I can go to, I'd rather go to one place and just be done. I hate going to the mall. The mall is one place, but
I never go grocery shopping. I order my groceries online and they deliver that shit.
Are you talking about Publix or Winco Foods?
Winco. Winco.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another one I would shop at is Winco. It's close to my house in Texas, and I go to Winco.
I've never been to one of those.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not, doesn't have everything, but it's got a good selection. It's good if you want to buy bulk, like if you want to buy bulk rice, bulk candy, bulk foods. It's great for that. They have a huge bulk section.
Up in Minnesota, we have Cub Foods. I don't know if they have them anywhere else, but Cub Foods is kind of like that.
Okay. So yeah, but unfortunately, like it's, if you get a $15 minimum wage, you get rid of the unemployment benefits, most people come back to work. It's going to drive those smaller businesses, smaller chains. It's going to cause an increase in everything. And and I know, and a lot of people like, hold on, a lot of people. I lost my train of thought. I had something popped on my computer and started talking. Essentially, a $15 minimum wage. The only people who benefit from a $15 minimum wage is the federal government.
The taxes.
Through the taxation. They get an increase in income tax revenue. They get when the cost of goods goes up, they get the increase in the sales tax revenue.
Yeah.
Those are that's the only minimum wage increases only benefit the government. It's like, cool, I'm making $15 an hour. That's great. However, now my rent, when I was moving to, I was thinking about moving to Seattle before they did $15 minimum wage. Rents there were very comparable to where I was living in Sacramento. At the time, it was about a 2-bedroom apartment running you about $750, $800 in a nice area. Not bad, right? That's not bad. They did $15 minimum wage. Those rents instantly, within a week, doubled.
I believe it.
They doubled. They went to $1,400 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. Simply because everybody was moving it. There was an apartment shortage because everybody was flooding to Seattle to get that $15 minimum wage.
That and the gentrification that goes on in those cities like Chicago and Seattle and Portland.
Oh yeah,
New York.
Well, the way I believe is a $15. I don't think there should be any federally mandated wage, but what I do believe in is for your area, the wage should vary because if a bunch of states are different, like each state is like its own country, so you got to take the circumstances there and consider it.
Well, yeah, there's. Absolutely. There's places in this country. Oh, sorry. I'll let you finish. I apologize.
Rent for like a 1-bedroom in a pretty bad area, a city over here is like $900, but that's before the 15.
Where do you live, Patrick? What state do you live in?
Connecticut.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a visual.
Yeah. Well, you take like in places like New York City, Austin, San Francisco, Sacramento, major metropolitan areas, a $15 minimum wage, it'll help you
for like the first 3 months.
For a few months before everything gets inflated.
Everything catches up.
Until everything catches up. It'll help you. However, some place like Podunk fucking Alabama, middle of buttfuck nowhere, you raise the minimum wage to $15 there, you're going to destroy that economy because all those small businesses are going to be like, well, shit, I got to raise prices, but nobody in my community, a lot of people in my community don't work. They won't be able to afford anything.
They can't afford to stay open.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. And then you throw COVID on top of this with businesses like, especially here in Texas, like the bar industry in Texas got decimated over COVID because the governor was prosecuting people that were staying open.
Oh yeah, like what happened to Chris Pallone with the Rail Club.
Yeah, Chris Pallone, yeah. If you're listening, Chris, yeah, we got it.
He went through hell. And they went after him. They didn't even go after his business. They went after his personal.
His bar isn't open anymore. He lost his whole business.
Oh, the Rail Club went under?
It's not open anymore. No.
Well, I had no idea. I lost that contact when my Facebook got
He lost his whole business. I want to say 6 months ago. I don't know if that's true at the time's true or not. But
I remember seeing a post from him saying, "I've lost everything." I didn't realize that was his business. That he lost, like the club is done.
Yep, out. He has no business anymore.
Because the last I was heard, he was winning his cases against TABC.
He hit the. I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody told me that the amount of money that he lost and for being closed, on top of the amount of money that he spent on this case, outweighed like his overall, like he could not afford to stay open. He didn't have the money to keep his business open, even though he was still probably making money. He didn't have enough.
Oh, he actually. I'm on his website right now. They are still open.
Oh, they are?
Yes.
Well, then
they are still open. It's just he has been hit with a shit ton of sanctions from the city for code enforcement violations and for being open. But no, he was open. I mean, during Snowmageddon, he was open and actually operating as a homeless shelter.
Really?
For people, yeah. Hibiscus Society donated a shit ton of a carload of food to them and bottled water.
Told me that his business got completely shut down and went into this long spiel about. I never fact checked it. I didn't even look. I'm just going off the. I mean, maybe the website's not up to date. I don't know. I'd have to reach out. I wouldn't mind reaching out to him though and seeing how he's doing. But I mean, you know. And he's one of like thousands. Like there are thousands of businesses that have that story that ran into that.
All across the country. I mean, they're
Texas.
I
remember when I talked to him, like he told me there was like a confederation of like 800 bars that were fighting back, and that's why I was so confused when I can't remember who told me, when whoever told me that he'd closed. I thought same thing. I thought he was coming back.
Yeah, he's, as far as I can tell from what I saw on his website, he's still open.
Good.
So he's still fighting. He's still fighting the good fight. But when you look at the state of our economy, you throw the COVID, you have the COVID in the mix, and then now they want to raise the minimum wage. It's like how many times can you punch small businesses in the face before they get knocked down? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just one thing after another, and then it's just, you know, when a small business, I mean, businesses in Seattle laid people off when they had to pay them $15 an hour. Instead of having 6 employees, they went down to like 3 employees.
Yeah,
and cut their hours. You know, and other places do that too. And then like states like California, where they're like, they don't have the $15 minimum wage. It's a little bit lower. It's building up to it. But then they threw in like, oh, you have to have sick time, and then state mandated sick time, and you have to have mandated health care, provide health benefits. That fucked poor people over, because not only now, instead of getting full-time hours, they're only getting part-time hours, so they don't qualify for the health care. You know, if you have, you know, instead of having like 10 full-time employees, you hire 20 part-timers. Now you don't have to pay any health benefits because they're part-time, not full-time.
Right.
You know, it's all this government meddling in free trade, free business. The only people that benefit from it is the government, and all the people suffering are the actual employees that this shit's supposed to help.
Right. So, but here's the thing, is if the government had voluntary taxes, they could provide social benefit to the small businesses that can't afford it.
But it's the government that's
voluntary.
down. It's the government that are like levying these cases on them. It's forcing these businesses to have to spend extra money on court costs, and everybody knows court costs just starting out is like $20,000 just to get a lawyer to speak for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and then I mean, it's I had a train of thought and I lost it.
No more drinking whiskey for a show.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's not even that potent. It's like 20%.
It looks good.
It's tasty. But you know, government, like, people need to, like, the art of negotiating has been lost on a generation, on a few generations. Like my generation, when I started working, 16 years, when I started working, I got my first job at 16, so that was 22 years ago. I started out, I got paid $5.25 an hour, and I was working at fucking Taco Bell.
I remember when minimum wage was $5.25.
So that was, I'm in California. I'm working at Taco Bell. Worked my way up, and then I got a couple raises. I got to $6.20. I ended up, when I left there, I went somewhere else, and I quit that job because they weren't, at one point they were like, "Oh, we can't give you a raise. You've maxed out." So I was like, "All right, fine." So I got a job somewhere else, making $6.25. So now I made a whole $1 more an hour. Worked there, found another job that paid more. Now that I've got more skills and more training and more knowledge, I was able to apply for better paying jobs and worked my way up to, working, menial, retail jobs, just retail jobs. But I'd always look at what's the pay, and then I would negotiate and be like, well, I went to go work at Home Depot. They wanted to pay me 11. So I was like, well, hold up. I know flooring. I know this. I want 14.
$11 when though? Like when
that was in 2006.
So $11 in 2006 wasn't bad.
Wasn't bad, no. But I wanted 14, and I got it because I knew how to negotiate.
Right.
Because I had the knowledge and skill set.
Here's the thing: is generations still do that. People, I mean, it is rare today, but like me, I have to negotiate it because I work odd jobs. I haven't had a single steady job except for 2019, and that was only for 2 months.
How old are you, Patrick?
17.
17. I thought you were young.
I'm not saying everyone in the gender, but majority of they just take definitely. Like, oh, it doesn't pay that. Oh, I don't. They won't even like try to negotiate. They just expect like, well, I should make this much. Like, well, no. What do you have? And now I'm, and I got specialized in different fields. Went to school.
I remember when I was 18 and I started working at Walmart before I joined the Marine Corps, and I was making like $9.50, and I was making bank for an 18-year-old kid. Like I had plenty of money. I lived with my parents. I had all this money every week, and I was working 40 hours every week. $9.50 was fucking sweet for me when I was that young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and Walmart doesn't pay. Walmart used to be known for paying bad. They actually pay well above minimum wage. They pay actually fairly well.
Yeah.
I have a friend who works at Walmart, and they're making $14 an hour working at Walmart.
Right.
They also have a 401k stock option, and they're making they're building their retirement off of Walmart. I mean, in 6 months, they've got $900 in their portfolio.
I'm from Minnesota, and so like my best friend's mom has worked for Target since I was. I'm 32, so she's worked there since I was a kid, so at least 20 years. And Target, as you guys may or may not know, is headquartered in Minnesota. Like that's where Targets are from. And so Target is kind of a big deal up there, and they have like these places called like Target Greatlands that are like these mega Targets that are fucking cool as fuck. She worked for corporate, and when she retires, she may have retired already, but when or if she retires, she'll be set.
Nice, but that's just where it's that's just where it's at. You build up, you find it. You got to look at the long term picture of what you're doing. is there room for growth? Is there room? Am I going to get? Is there room for raises? Is there room for bonuses? Is there room for what kind of benefits am I going to be getting? How much do those benefits cost me?
Right.
Are all things you've got to look at when you're looking for a job.
You know what the most pointless thing that you pay into as an employee is, in my opinion? Dentist insurance. Fucking stupid.
Oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
if you find the right dentist, a lot of times if you tell them you don't have insurance, you're going to pay less than you would if you had insurance.
Yeah. Dentist insurance does nothing but hurt you at dentist.
Or just don't go to the dentist.
Only thing that it's done for me with like TRICARE is I have like a set dentist that I can go to no matter what. But that's it. That's just because I have TRICARE benefits. So.
Well, yeah, because you served our country and earned it.
But I would never pay. I would never pay a play. I always opt out because I don't need it. Like, why do I need to pay for insurance? I have free insurance. I don't ever have to.
I do pay for dental insurance just simply because it pays for dentures and it pays for. I do get a lot of free cleanings and like a lot of free benefits with my dental insurance, but it only costs me like $16.
Well, I'll tell you, like with the VA,
so it's not making a huge dent.
With the rating that I got and how I'm classified with the VA, like I don't pay for any kind of healthcare, for medicine, for fucking any kind of upfront thing, even going to like urgent care. I don't have to pay for I get 3 of those a year now. I don't pay for any of my emergency room stuff, even if it's outside of network. The VA always Trump actually helped the VA. Like talk shit about Trump all you want. Trump did a whole lot while he was in office for the VA. Like he changed the whole system. Like now, like they're paying me back pay for 3 emergency room visits that I had from like the last 10 years.
Oh shit! Nice.
So like I can pay that off my credit. I don't and now they'll pay for like present charges. So like if I were to call like that ambulance that came the other day, I won't have to pay for that. That'll go right to build right to the VA. I refused service. I didn't need it.
Yeah, no, you only pay for ambulance services if they actually take you.
Yeah.
That's a little trick that a lot of people don't know. If you get an ambulance, you get checked out and you're fine, don't get transported. If they transport you, then they bill you.
It's like $1,000.
Oh, right, it's there. More than that.
Well, for
transport, it's more than that.
The transports, like that's all they are. They're transport. It's from me having a seizure in public, and so whoever was with me didn't know what the fuck to do, and so I got transported to the fucking and got released. And I used to tell people all the time, don't ever fucking call an ambulance for me if I have a seizure. Ever. I'll come out of it. If I stop.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, you didn't know that. I mean, no.
Now I know.
Right now you do. Like don't like unless like unless you go if you go 30 minutes or longer without speaking to me, then you should then at that point I would. But if it's not, if I come back and I start talking to you like 30 minutes later, like I'm probably okay enough to call it on my own if I need to.
Yeah.
It's just most people don't know that it's a fucking scary thing. Like if I were to see that happen to somebody, I would probably if I didn't have this experience, I'd probably freak the fuck out because it looks like you're fucking gonna die.
So, all right. So wow, we've run the whole spectrum of the $15 minimum wage and then unemployment benefits and all that good stuff.
I could do this all night, man.
Oh, I know. That's why so could I. I mean, this is, but yeah,
we could have a 4-hour podcast and talk about a whole lot of shit. We've done it before.
So here's the next headline that was brought to my attention. Trent, you already know about this headline.
I was waiting for you to talk about that.
Oh yeah, So I guess Dr. Fauci and Senator Rand Paul, went at it earlier this week. And then it came out that the nonprofit that Dr. Fauci runs, his nonprofit organization, turns out was funding the Wuhan lab in China that the coronavirus came from. I mean, from the area of Wuhan.
No,
No, fuck that shit. It came out of a lab. It came out of the lab.
That it was patient X from.
Exactly. It was that fucking lab. And he was funding it. And now he's like making a killing as like the nation's COVID expert. Well, how the fuck does he know about COVID? Well, because he was funding the lab that fucking made it.
One of the chief scientists on the NIH his little group, and one of the scientists for the Wuhan lab are like besties, and they've done like a shit ton of collaborations on different scientific studies together. There's so many different connections between the two; it's ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. When you get high up in there and you start bringing in nonprofit organizations, I actually start looking at who's funding who, and I can only it all comes down to like there's one. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's very, very conspiracy sounding. But like there was this anti-gun group there was a group that was doing research on gun violence that was funded by another group that is doing research on gun violence that supports anti-gun measures that is funded by now, and all they can say is how their funding would come from philanthropy sources. And that's how a lot of these nonprofit groups work. You have the nonprofit, and then the one that seems innocuous and innocent, and nonpartisan, non-biased, and then but it's connected and funded by another group that is very biased, and then that is funded by elites that nobody fucking knows about.
Hey Patrick, I think you're like breathing into your mic real heavy.
Oh, I am?
I think so, yeah.
It's very nasally. Do you need a tissue?
Yeah.
That's better.
Probably got Super Corona 27.
No, I know, right? Oh, yeah, I saw that commercial now. Like, if we don't get the vaccine, how are we going to stop the next pandemic with Corona 20? And then, like, they're researching the coronavirus, and it's like, oh, here we go. And it popped up, and it's wearing, like, a suit, and it's wearing, like, a purple pimp suit and, like, a hat now. And I'm like, we need to get the virus. We need to get the vaccine now. It's like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Over here, they air on the radio an ad for the vaccine multiple times during one commercial break. I seen it 3 times one time, just on one commercial break.
Dude, the Hawaiian governor, the Ohio governor, what's his name? DeWitt?
Close.
Is
DeWitt.
Yeah, I think that's his name, DeWitt.
Yeah.
Might be DeWine. Yeah, DeWitt, maybe.
DeWine. Well, he's a twit. Whatever. He is now there's going to be a raffle for all those who got at least their first dose of vaccine. They're going to do a raffle 5 weeks, and they're going to draw one name each week to win $1 million.
That's pretty legit.
Yeah. That's stupid.
Why can't we take that $5 million and put it into something, I don't know, fix my roads.
But here's the thing. Where does that money come from?
Schools. Put it somewhere useful.
Yeah.
Instead of like trying to force me to get a fucking vaccine that has hardly been tested, barely can be deemed safe. I mean, they've already pulled one off the market. They pulled Johnson & Johnson off the market because it was fucking killing people.
They never approved AstraZeneca because that's how bad it was.
I know. Now we're giving AstraZeneca free to other countries.
Yeah.
We have stockpiles of AstraZeneca we can't use.
It's going to be our fault. We're going to give it to like some nation in the middle of Africa. Some poor souls out there are going to get our vaccine, and they're going to turn into zombies. And that's where it's going to start.
World War Z, man.
You guys need to wear masks to prevent zombieism.
Actually, one of the thing is there was 2 leaders in Africa who were completely denying the vaccine. They said, no way, we're not taking this poison. And one of them, he died of COVID.
Well, because
that's
why?
Like Jeffrey Epstein.
You know why? People in Africa, Africans are like, no, we don't bring it here, because they have been the guinea pigs of the scientific community for fucking ever.
Yeah.
Like every fucking drug that we can't, doesn't get approved for trials in the human trials in the United States, they send it to Africa and you use it on fucking people in buttfuck nowhere to do human trials.
Afghanistan's the same way.
No, they go to any third world area. Hey, we've got this fucking new medication. Try it, and then that's where they do the human trial.
Yeah, they get away with the legality of it.
Absolutely, because there's nothing in like UN or where it says they can't. It's a big gray area. So it's like, hey, if they're willing to take it, we'll give them this. There's a lot of these countries. These countries are poor. They have no
infrastructure.
Nothing similar to a Food and Drug Administration. There's no regulations. There's no. Not to say I'm pro regulation. There are some things though. It's like, hey, maybe we should have some guidelines of like, hey, you can't do that.
What were you gonna say, Patrick?
That's right. I got these stickers with the QR code.
What is it?
What is it?
It's stickers that link to the Boogaloo and You document, and it basically explains the Boogaloo.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yep.
I like that. That's a good idea.
What's the area you live in, Patrick? Like, what's it like up there? For I don't know much.
How bad's your COVID fucking restrictions where you're at?
Or like any?
It's actually in the worst. Oh, it's some of the worst restrictions. Also, our governor was caught out. He was one of them governors that was caught dining without a mask, like at all, no mask, and he pushed it really hard. Just kind of sucky. Also, one of the neighboring states, they have potholes so big you can lay in them.
Nice.
Nothing to do with COVID. I think that's pretty neat. The only interstate I know with potholes so big.
But now see, Ohio, we're pretty I went to now I am not going to say my vaccination status because that's my personal fucking business and nobody else needs to know if I've been vaccinated or not. But I went to karaoke last night at a local bar, and they actually, the first time I went, you had to wear a mask, sing through the mask. Last night, now since the CDC released that if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask, they actually let people sing into the mic without a mask.
Are you drinking Dr. Pepper?
No.
Yes. Oh, what is
Coca-Cola.
that? Oh.
Dr. Pepper cream soda, sugar free.
The cream soda is really good.
Oh hell yeah! Especially when you mix it with some of this peanut butter whiskey.
That whiskey with cream soda.
Nice.
Dude, that bottle's almost gone. That bottle was fresh when you opened it.
It's been a couple hours.
It's Friday.
And I'm not slurring my words. I don't even I'm a professional drinker. So
Dude, I feel bad for you, Patrick. You're just in the prime of your life, and this is like what you're coming into. I would be so pissed off if I was a senior in high school, and this is what my senior year was like. I would be so I had so much fun in high school, man.
Those seniors last year, they missed out on fucking prom. They missed their graduation ceremonies. They missed all that shit.
Missed out on full seasons that dictated their life.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is I've been homeschooled since kindergarten. I ain't had that. I ain't been around kids. I've only been around adults and seniors.
Gotcha.
And I posted one of the stickers up.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
But
So like Ohio, but now now in Ohio with the COVID restrictions, our governor, now the CDC said if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. President Biden has said basically the mask now is turned into the little patch that people would wear to be like the sign of unclean or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
The scarlet letter.
Yeah.
So now, but they're talking about lifting all COVID basically because we've only had in the whole state, I think we've had 80 cases in the last week. New cases, maybe. So the governor is saying like this is over with. So he's talking about, I guess, in the next couple weeks here at the end of the month, like lifting the COVID restrictions completely, like Texas did.
They inflate these numbers, like you said, okay, 80, or like there'll be times where it'll be like we had like 50,000 new cases. That sounds like a lot, but it's not, because you have to think just because there are 50,000 cases with a survival rate of 99.9%, you're only looking at like 15 or 5 or 10 people that are fucking dying. I can't math.
I actually did this and I fucked up the math, but I can kind of remember, like, basically the number of people compared with the number of people in the United States and the amount of cases that we've had of COVID in the United States, it only breaks down to like 1% or 0.02% of the population of the United States. So we're not even talking a full percent of people got COVID. We're talking a fraction of a percent got COVID. And then of the people who got COVID, a fraction of a percent of those died. But they don't post percents. They post the numbers because the numbers are really big and the numbers are scary, and it sells news time, it sells papers, it sells. Well, when I say 300,000 people died of COVID today, have died of COVID so far, that freaks people out because that's 300,000 people. However, 300,000 is 1% of the country.
Yeah. Well, another thing is, so they say like at times we had 8% positivity rate, but that was 8% of 20,000. This is a state of 4 million.
Right.
Right. No, it's if you actually look at all the numbers put all together for COVID, it's not scary.
No,
it's equivalent to fucking what we had with swine flu, bird flu, regular flu. It's nowhere near the Spanish flu at the turn of the 20th century.
You have to ask yourself, did anything other than like what the government made happen like around your life, did anything directly related to COVID? Did people act differently? Did around you, did you notice people dying at all? Either one of you?
I had 18 people around me that I knew personally that I interacted with that got COVID. Of the 18 people that I interacted with that got COVID, 0 died.
Right. I don't know anybody that died from COVID. My grandma is in the nursing home, and she hasn't been able to get out of the nursing home since it started. And she has dementia. She's in her final years of like remembering shit, and she's not going to be able to see any of her family because of the fucking restrictions.
That sucks.
See, and that's just to me, that's abusive.
Yeah.
To me, that's akin to elder abuse. Because what do people do what do abusers do? They get the person, they take that loved one, they separate them, get rid of their friends, they isolate them, and then ruin their fucking lives.
And so get this, my grandma and my grandpa were Pentecostal like preachers. My grandpa was a Pentecostal preacher for like 45 years. My uncle is a Pentecostal preacher. He is in charge of the church my grandpa started. So like I have a long list of these Pentecostal, like my grandma was very, very, very religious. She hasn't been able to go to church in a year and a half.
Now my church, back in Texas, I was going to church, but I was in the worship team. So I was singing and we were doing online services. But if anybody showed up, we wouldn't turn away. We would just put them make them wear a mask, put them in the far part of the building, and people weren't sitting next to each other. And then when they lifted the COVID restrictions, we waited a few more weeks just to see what would happen
react to it
with the numbers. And since the numbers didn't increase, they decreased. We're like, all right, cool. So then we opened up service to everybody. We're still doing the online portion because we have a lot of membership that still won't go to church because they're high risk. They got weakened immune systems, or they're elderly, or whatever reason. They're still staying home. So it was a combined service of in person and online.
My grandma had COVID and she didn't feel any symptoms. Like she's tested positive for COVID and it didn't have any symptoms at all the whole time.
Well, that was a hard thing too. Is a lot of people were getting tested and they were testing positive for COVID and didn't actually have it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that actually happened to a guy I worked with. He tested. They crossed the samples on accident.
And you got to ask yourself,
he tested positive, but the other person, what they crossed it with, they told him they were negative, but it turned out they were positive, and my buddy was negative.
How many times do you think that happened?
Way too many.
You know, I guarantee you, very, very similar situations happened over and over, and it just the sample size is too large. You can't not have it.
No, it's and there's no, I mean, I was actually like, okay, so like I got tested twice for COVID because I had to because I had symptoms back, and this is back at the beginning when I first had symptoms. This is back when they had no idea what the symptoms of COVID were. Like they were just like fucking pulling
everything.
Everything was COVID.
Everything was COVID, dude. I had symptoms.
If you coughed and farted at the same time, you had COVID.
And I had to go get a COVID test because I had symptoms.
Right. So I went to the Burleson Rec Center. They did the test where they shoved the thing up your nose and you want to cry and sneeze at the same time.
All the way up to your brain.
Oh, like where they're poking your brain and all of a sudden now you can't do math.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit. So they did that, right? So, okay, cool. Came back negative. Finished out my 10-day quarantine, went back to work. I still had to do a 10-day quarantine because I had food poisoning. I was throwing up and that was it. So the second time I had symptoms, still no fever, but I was coughing and had I had a sinus infection. But my where I worked was like, you need to get a COVID. You got to go in quarantine, get a COVID test. So I went to CVS. They have you test yourself. You have to poke your own brain.
I saw that, dude. I saw somebody.
The fuck is like? How are you going to get an accurate test for somebody like this? Hurts. I'm not going to shove it any further because this fucking hurts.
I had it the way you had it, Ben. I had it the way where they do it. And
they poked you. Yeah, the second time I had to do it to myself.
I couldn't have done it myself.
And, dude, it was a bloody fucking mess. So I went too far.
People that did those tests on themselves did not go back and tickle their brain.
Did not go back far enough. No. And then some people, like I know some people went and got the rapid test, and then the rapid test came back negative, and then they're like, oh wait, or it came back positive and it was a false positive, so they had to get retested again. Or what happened was they do the rapid test, it came back negative, and then they got sicker, and then they went and did the long-term test, and then it came back, yeah, you have COVID.
So no matter what, you had to do it twice, regardless.
No matter what, you had to do it twice. Now, mine was 2 separate times in 2 months apart.
Had to do it twice, regardless.
But I have been fortunate. Like I have been around people who got COVID. I have not gotten it, and the way it looks like with the infectious rate of COVID, it's like Spanish flu. Turn of the century. You could take somebody with Spanish flu, drop them in a room with 10 people. Of those 10 people, 8 are going to get it. It seems like with COVID, if you drop somebody with COVID in a room with 10 people, maybe 2 or 3 maybe will get it. Maybe. Like it's not highly infectious. Does not seem highly infectious.
I have the antibodies in my blood, and I guess so. I've had to obviously.
You had to have it,
but I don't ever remember being sick last year.
You could have had it asymptomatically,
and no, that's what I'm saying. Like that's exactly what happened. I did get it. There was one day where I was like kind of sick, but it was like allergies sick, and it like I knew the difference. But the only day that I could have been.
Right. Now, if I was you, I would definitely not get vaccinated.
So
if you have the antibodies, don't get vaccinated because that's where a lot of these side effects from people are happening.
I've proven my blood work that I have the antibodies in my blood. If I go get vaccinated, there's the likelihood of me having an adverse reaction increases by a lot.
Well, I've heard people getting blood clots who I think the worst one I heard somebody I know had COVID.
Even if I do get COVID, I'm healthy enough that there's no way it's going to fucking kill me.
Well, you've got the antibodies, so you're fine.
Even if I got sick, I'm still healthy enough that it would take the Spanish flu to fucking kill me.
Right.
So COVID,
Right.
my lungs are strong enough. I can hold my breath underwater for well over a minute and a half. I've been able to do that my whole life.
Now, I've heard the trick is if you get the COVID, is stay active. A lot of the people I know who got it and then actually, beat it, and the recovery time was a lot faster. They would go out and they mask up, but they'd go out to the woods. They'd walk.
You gotta get out there and
they would just stay moving. Keep your lungs working, keep your heart rate up, and you'd recover a lot faster from it, and you won't get a lot of the, because a lot of people get it. They're sedentary, and then they're sick for months. The people I know that were active and were like moving around and stuff got it, and then like 2 weeks later they're fucking fine.
That's something that I started doing when I was wrestling in high school. Like that's like if you get sick, like that's what you do is you wear like a sauna suit, or you wear like a track suit with a hoodie on, and you just fucking sweat it out.
Yeah, that's what I do too. Y'all seem lucky too. Both of y'all have gotten tested for. I never got tested, and I won't get tested either. I will.
Well, if you haven't had any kind of symptoms, then there's no point in getting tested.
Why? Yeah.
Oh no, I've had some pretty hard symptoms. In fact, I was sick for like 3 weeks back in like February of like 2020. I was sick for a long time.
It might behoove you to at least get a blood test and see if you got the antibodies.
Yeah, that's what could it hurt?
You're not going to hurt. At least you'll know.
Oh, and also, I hugged somebody 2 days before they got a test, and they tested positive for COVID, and they were actually sick. But it's not that infectious. But yeah, I might get. Who knows?
Yeah, no. I mean, now keep in mind. Now, none of us, anybody watching this, none of us here are doctors. We're just making scientific observations of what we have observed with the pandemic, with people we know and our own experiences. But we by no means are making any kind of medical recommendation or any kind of guide. This is simply just opinion and observation. I just wanted to say that just in case anybody tried. Well, fucking this is how news
doctors.
We ain't no doctors.
The new doctors, like that panel, like they are real doctors.
but Fauci and this fucking racket, man, of fucking funding the lab, and then now he is the go-to guy for COVID in the United States.
It's like what everybody has been thinking for the last year and a half. Like they come out, we're like, hey, it's actually what you guys have been thinking, that we've been implicit with this shit since the beginning.
Exactly. It's just like JFK. Everybody said he was shot by a CIA agent. They leaked the docs. He was shot by a CIA agent.
From the distance, the angle of shot, the type of firearm that Lee Harvey Oswald had, he would have the likelihood of him making those 3 hits to where he hit in that small amount of time is so low, it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. I still think it's fun. Now this is going to be really off color, but I remember watching somebody was selling the guns that Oswald used, the brand of gun, and they were doing a President's Day half off sale.
Yeah, he got it in the middle.
I love that.
in open sight. There was no scope on there.
For the Curso, was it a Corso?
It was some Italian.
Yeah.
It was a 30-06, some Italian 30-06. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was like a Curacano or something.
Yeah.
Carcano, yeah. Yeah, but somebody was selling them, and they were like, oh, half off President's sale.
Yeah. And he got 3 kill shots off in like a 5-second time frame. There's no way.
No way with a fucking no. That was a bolt action, wasn't it?
Yeah, the bolt action. Bolt action single shot.
2 shots, I can see 2 shots in 5 seconds, but 3 in 5 seconds, not
where he hit them in the throat, in the head, and the chest, like
to be able to stay on target, rack it. No, I don't see that at all.
As the target is moving from left to right.
Oswald was identified in the crowd.
What does that mean? What do you mean by that, boogeyman? Like, open it up more.
I'll wait for him to respond. Says the driver winger shot him point blank in the head.
Driver of Kennedy's car. So he turned around and shot him. So Jackie Kennedy would have seen that.
Plus, I think it would have been picked up on the video too. I don't know if it was the driver, but I do believe there was a shooter on the grassy knoll.
Yeah, everybody's always
that's the angle that's where you get the perfect angle.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah.
No,
it's crazy.
Yeah, he literally. Yeah, he's okay. This is what Boogie's getting at. He literally wasn't in the building they said he was in.
Oh yeah,
no, he wasn't in the building. He was. Yeah, he was in the crowd.
He was framed for that.
But he was absolutely a patsy.
That's why he got killed when he was changing prison or going between from jail to prison or jail to somewhere holding or wherever the fuck it was. They were changed. They were changing him where he got fucking.
Yeah, they Epsteined him. You know, they took him out.
Epstein.
Who knows?
Epstein
they
did
might
not kill himself.
Who knows? Oswald might be alive still. They might.
Oh no, he's dead.
Keeping him.
No, he did. You don't keep him. You don't keep him alive. You have to take him out.
He didn't leave. He got shot point blank 3 or 4 times.
Oh
yeah,
that's right too.
So it's just a bad day to be in Dallas.
So
yeah.
The driver was the actual shooter, and that's why Jackie was trying to get out of the car. I'm not sure I buy that.
Honestly, if I'm sitting there and my wife's brains got splattered on the back of my car, I'm going to be scrambling to get the fuck out of the car too.
Fuck yeah!
Time to go. I'm a head out.
Find cover. Gotta find cover. That'd be my first instinct.
Yeah. Headshot, there's no saving you. I'm going to cover. So at least my kid's gonna have one parent.
She had brain particles on her when they recovered her from the scene. She had his brain on her. Because he got shot flew out the back of his head. Fucking killed him immediately. Perfect shot. It couldn't have been shot any better.
So do you all want to talk about Israel?
Hold on, I want to share. Oh, come on, go full screen.
I guess you're not gonna take on.
You're not gonna like this. This meme was fucking. This was gold. Oh, fuck it. Anyways, this meme got me a 30-day ban on Facebook. It was fucking great. My favorite sex position is the JFK. I splatter all over her while she screams and tries to get out of the car.
That's awesome. I love that one. That's one I had since I was real young. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was a well-earned 30-day ban.
I got a 2-day ban one time for saying the Russians. I was in an argument with a Cuomo supporter. He said, "You're a Russian bot." I said, "The Russians."
You told him he was a Russian bot?
Yeah, they can call you a Russian bot all they want, but the minute you say "fuck Russia," you get a fucking ban for hate speech.
Yeah, but other than that,
I ever had was a 24-hour ban, and I went from 24-hour to permaban.
I mostly get permanent bans. I just got hit on my account 4 days after
I got put as an admin for some boot groups, and then they did another purge, and they purged those groups, and then they zucked my account. Now I've been able to make a new account, but I won't use the Facebook app on my phone. I only do web-based.
That's the way it's going to.
And it works
eventually.
But every 2 or 3 weeks, they zuck that account again, and then I send them a picture of myself going, "What the fuck," with my name on my shirt, and just go, "What the fuck," and then they reopen it again.
You're going to lose it. You're going to lose it permanently very soon. That's like the step-by-step process that happens.
Enjoy while I have it.
So the first time they banned me, they wanted my ID, and I sent them a picture of Madonna's tits. I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't want to give them my ID.
They have me IP blocked and IMEI blocked. I can't. I've been able to do it. I bought all new devices, and I was able to make an account in like a week, and then I got blocked within a week.
Yeah.
So I don't even bother anymore. I have Twitter.
All right, let's take.
I did too.
I honestly, I just have the Facebook so I can keep in contact with like my friends from Texas, my church friends, and family members and shit like that. I'm in no groups. I'm not posting anything other than like, hey, the move went good. Hey, my kids start school. Hey, fuck, just family friendly shit. And I think maybe that's why I've been able to get through it.
Yeah.
But let's take the last 30 minutes here. Let's go ahead. So Israel and Palestine. Trying to fuck each other's worlds up.
Have you seen how intense it got in New York? Like people left
the fist fight, like
blood.
The literal brawl right in the street.
Blood coming down their face, like some shit was effed up, like for real. Then they threw a chair, like the Palestinians threw a chair at some Jewish guy, and the Jewish guy had blood coming down his face after a fist fight he got in. New York is crazy. Like Jesus,
because it's a melting pot. I mean, it's got a huge Palestinian population. It's got a huge Hebrew Israeli population.
I have a really huge bias when it comes to Israel and Palestine. I have for two reasons, and I can like one. I grew up with two Israeli exchange students, and they're like their family is like family to me. So I've known, and one of them worked for the Mossad actually, and then two. I have a very skewed bias when it comes to Muslims, just for my background in the military. Like I try my best to not be a bigot, but I still, in the back of my head, it always pops out. It's second nature now from being around it so much when I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh, when you think about it, they were trying, it was Muslims trying to kill you.
Right, and that's exactly how it's presented to you when you're there. Is like they were fighting a holy war. We weren't. We were just fighting for fucking whatever reason, but they were actually fighting a jihad against us, And so I do my best not to let it show, and I do my best not to let it influence my decisions. But I know myself. I know in the back of my head, I think it.
There's a level of mistrust. That's understandable. My grandfather was in World War II. He fought in Germany. He would constantly be like those damn Krauts. When I was growing up as a kid, it was always those damn Krauts, damn Japs. Damn whatever. And I just, as a kid, I just dismissed it. But, I mean, it's when you fight a war where your life is literally at stake and these people are trying to kill you, of course you're going to have negative opinions of the people trying to kill you.
It took the gas station, the guys that own the gas station down the street from me, like I shop there regularly and we're on first name basis, for me to change my opinion. Like I realized he's a little bit younger than me. He knew I was in the military. And he asked me straight up one day, like how I thought about Muslims. And I told him, and then he started explaining to me why. And then like when we see things from a completely different, and ever since then, man, I've been able to work through that. But yeah, there's definitely a bias there when it comes to, like, nobody's right in that Jew and Palestinian fight. Nobody's right. Like it doesn't matter if you're Israeli or if you're Palestinian there are levels of wrong on both sides.
It is a level of FUBAR that's been going on for almost a century.
For a millennium, like.
I'm just talking about the state since the formation of the state of Israel in the 40s.
Right.
We're pushing 80 something years of the formation of the state of Israel.
And these people have been fighting since day one.
Right. Yeah. And and it's like, and that's, and I have a different, like, I take it you support Israel.
No, I think they're both wrong.
You think they're both wrong? Okay, see, I think they're both wrong as well. But so it's like, because I can feel, we had a whole shit after the end of World War II. We had a whole shit ton. We had millions of displaced. We have millions of displaced Jews that could not, especially from Eastern Europe. When the Red Army came through and wiped out the Nazis, they conquered Eastern Europe. They went from one fascist dictator to now a communist dictator,
We turned away thousands and thousands and thousands of Jewish immigrants. Before the Holocaust happened, like they came to Ellis Island, and we turned them away and made them go somewhere else.
Right. So now you've got so now you got the end of World War II. You've got the formation of the USSR as this giant fucking taking half of Eastern Europe, half of Berlin was now part of communist Russia,
communist bloc,
now part of the communist bloc. So you got all these displaced fucking Jews. They can't go anywhere. They can't go back to Poland. They can't because they're going to get. You're basically sending them back to be persecuted by the communists. So they said, well, let's give them back their Holy Land. So they gave them, so they formed, they gave them back part of, they gave them back what was under control of Palestine. Palestine had really no say in it. They just said, we're doing this. Leave them the fuck alone. And it was, in the first state of it, it was a very small, and then they slowly started expanding and expanding and expanding. And I have, I got friends who are Israeli. I have friends who are Palestinian. And the way it was described to me is like, look, there's like, the Arab nations never recognized Israel as a country, ever.
No.
Not once. They're like, fuck you. You were put here by the Western world. We want nothing to do with you. Now, the only problem I have with Israel is their expansion. They were expanding into the Golan Heights. They were expanding into Gaza. They were basically doing eminent domain on kicking Palestinian families out of their homes and then occupying them and pushing them back and pushing them back. And then the Arab nations would attack Israel, which Israel's got an amazing standing. Like with how small they are, they kick ass.
They're very, very, very well funded, and they know all of the technology that we know.
Well, our government will like the Israeli bandage was a tourniquet. We said, hey, here's a tourniquet, do something with it. And the Israeli engineers designed the fucking Israeli bandage that's like 9 things in one. We gave them F-18s and said, hey, can you make these better? Oh my God, they fucking turned the F-18 into a fucking one of the most lethal fucking fighters in the fucking air.
Yeah.
And that's just because we have these deals with them, and they're able to fucking engineer shit and reverse shit around and make it like the effectiveness of it like 100 times fucking better.
Right. Krav Maga is apparently Israeli.
And England and America are instrumental in the Israeli state. Now, my personal opinion on that is I would love to see our government take a stand back and go, you know what? This isn't what we fucking agreed to 80 years ago.
We've just got to.
Y'all are on your own.
We've got to stop funding it.
Exactly.
I think that needs to be our move. Is we need to cut off all of our funding. If this is what they want to do, they can do it. It's perfect. Like, but we have to stop giving them money to do it.
Right. Exactly. And that because they went from being the victim of the Holocaust, basically victims of persecution to being the persecutors.
That's a very good point. Is I promise you, those people are never going to be victims of anything again. And I guarantee that's a mindset that they have right now. Is they're like it's until death. Like you come after Israel, we're going to kill you. So you have to understand the psychology behind it. It's not just a white versus black or good versus evil type scenario. There's a whole lot of gray in there.
Us,
the U.S. is selling
us.
Britain.
We're of the nations on the World Security Council, the UN Security Council. They're all selling weapons to fucking everybody else.
Yeah,
we're the biggest fucking supplier to weapons everybody.
The F-35. I was just watching a shit ton of stuff on the F-35. Like we give that to everybody. We are the main supplier of the most advanced jet in the world.
Oh yeah, and I learned a lot about. I can't really. I learned a lot about it because. We actually had at my church. We did a Methodist men's breakfast. We had a guy come from Lockheed. Was it Lockheed? Yeah, from Lockheed because the main facility of Lockheed is in Fort Worth. he actually came and spoke about it and talked about it. And the design team, I actually went to church with the son of the guy who designed it when they had the contest, when they were doing the bidding contest between Boeing and Lockheed on the X-35, who was going to have the design, and then Lockheed won it. But he was on the Lockheed team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's his last name's Elrod. But he was one of the head designers, he was one of the head honchos for that project. But the other guy, and he's passed away now, but the guy who came out was talking about it, and I was asking him some questions, and but yeah, no, like Israel's in on it. There's a few other countries, England, and they're doing like the way they work this out is they will give other countries access to the new state-of-the-art fighters if they help develop part of the fighter.
Yeah.
It's like a lend-lease deal.
Right.
So as long as like either you provide money or you provide facilities to build them, we'll give you some.
So Israel has presently, from what I see, 17 of their own F-35 called the ADIR.
So my feelings on Israel is the Israeli and Palestinian people, they're great, but the state of Israel sucks. Like they're a terrible ally. They bombed one of our ships. They tried to hide everything they did. They stole stuff from us.
That's very true. All that's very true. They have been really terrible fucking partners.
I mean that should be grounds enough for us to stop helping them anyway. On top of the fact, like you brought up, Ben, is they took more land than they were supposed to, and they took land that it wasn't even in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, like the Golan Heights. That was Syrian.
That was Lebanon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, then in Lebanon too. They take land from countries that weren't even in on it. Like Lebanon, yeah. I don't believe Lebanon was even in on any of the. They weren't in on any of the wars against Israel.
Lebanon was in on, I want to say, the 6-Day War.
Yeah, it was the 6-Day War. I believe was Egypt, Lebanon, Syria,
and
Palestine.
Those were the three that attacked Israel
and got their fucking asses kicked
3 times, or like twice or 3 times. Like the 6-Day War, I'm trying to remember what they're all. I used to know them all. 6-Day War.
They should. They probably.
Oh, yeah. Lebanon was they were not involved majorly. The only way they were involved was a minor air raid on the 5th of June when it started. Other than that, they were not involved.
We gave them access to the airspace and let the troops cross on their lands, which was another, which is why we're friendly with a lot of some Middle Eastern countries. So we're allowed to fly planes over their country and go bomb children and shit in other countries.
The countries involved were, other than that, were Palestine, Iraq, Jordan, Egypt, and Syria.
The Golan Heights is a strategic area. It opens up anybody to fire any kind of like artillery pieces off on to a large portion of Israel. So like Golan Heights is the
high ground.
Yeah, it's a higher ground. Yeah. And like Israel is a very small country. Like people don't realize how small Israel is. It's a very, very small.
I think it's like the size of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 7,000 square miles or 7,000 something. It's bigger than Rhode Island. So like on the chart, Rhode Island would be 1,000 and Israel would be 8. It's pretty big. It's more comparable to New Jersey almost.
Okay, so but it's not as far as for a country, it's small.
Yeah, for a country, it's very small.
Because it's the size of a state, which would be in a country.
And we have like 60 of those or 50 of those, all
Yes, there's 50 states.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah. So I mean, it's like, yeah, no, but you're absolutely right. It's like I don't have any ill will towards Israelites, the Israelis.
No.
I have no ill will towards Israelis. I have no ill will towards Palestinians. They both been put in horrible fucking situations. I just have an issue. I have an issue with Benjamin Netanyahu. I have an issue with the Israeli government. What they're doing. I have an issue with the Palestinian government because they won't sit down and they won't fucking hash the shit out so where their people aren't getting killed by one another over. It's like, it's been going on long enough. It's like at some point you got to sit down and be like, look, how do we, but I mean, the problem is there's both sides are so absolute because they're like, this is Israeli land. This is our land. We're not giving up on our land. And then you got the Palestinians like, no, well, we were here first and this is our land too. And instead, and that was, there's no, they can't, they don't have like a common ground to where they can actually be like, all right, can we form one country? Can we take Palestine and Israel and just form one country and have mutual representation with a government or whatever?
No,
that's never going to happen because Palestinians don't recognize Israeli as a government. They recognize them as a hostile entity that invaded their land. But then you got the Israelis selling it to the Western media that all these Palestinians are terrorists, which is why I say it. The difference between a terrorist and a patriot is perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree there.
Yeah.
Because one man's terrorist is another man's hero.
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any good answer where people or mankind prevails in Israel. Honestly,
they need to just fucking get it over with.
Going to be something bad's going to happen. And what we need to really start paying attention to is if something bad happens there, it's triggering something over here in America as well. Those things.
Look at what happened. We have Palestinians wrong. We got Israelis bombing Palestinians. Palestinians are firing rockets back. It's EID, so it's the holy time.
But you got to think. Okay.
And then we've got full-on fucking riots in the United States between Palestinians and Israelis because their fucking home countries are
think about
bombing the shit out of each other.
Think about how World War I was started because some king's son got shot and blown up driving around in Serbia. That's how millions of people died, was because of one person. And we have because of all the treaties that were signed. If somebody goes to war with you, I'll go to war to them. Right.
And it's funny, Germany got blamed for a war that was started with Austria.
Yeah. Germany paid the brunt of it.
Germany got fucked. And what happened at the end of World War I,
that's where
I believe directly impacted and what caused the rise of Nazi fascism in Germany.
Also, the extremism that's going on in our country. With the more and more disheveled we get, and the bigger things start happening within the country, these extreme elements are going to start making appearances, and we need to stand up to them. We need to hit it from right from the very beginning. We need to fucking cut that shit out as soon as it happens.
Absolutely.
So, can I bring something up? So,
go for it.
I was doing some investigating. Well, so I was doing some promotion for a rally, right? I was looking up my state, Connecticut, and I seen this mysterious group that just popped up out of nowhere, seemingly, called NE131. And I keep looking at different states, and there's a bunch of Nazi groups popping up out of nowhere this year. And then there's also but I was doing the research, and they're gonna be organizing again June 5th. Just wanted to let people know.
So that'd be good. That might be a good opportunity for the Boot Boys to show up and be like, "Hi, the Nazis aren't welcome."
Is that what you're saying?
Huh?
June 5th.
Are you saying June 5th the Nazis are supposed to be getting together? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, sometime during June, I believe June 5th. I don't know the locations yet, but I'm gonna try to get I hope to see protests everywhere they organize to see them disrupted. But yeah.
What's symbolic about June 5th?
Nothing.
It's probably just a date on the calendar.
Yeah, they just picked it. They're kind of stupid.
It's the first Saturday of the month. That's probably why
Yeah.
they picked it.
And then we have our event June 19th.
Yeah, for Juneteenth, we're doing a nationwide Juneteenth. If if there's no organization in your state, like there's only a few states putting it on, but I'd love to see, Juneteenth is, for those who don't know, Juneteenth is actually a Texas holiday to celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation and when Texas freed the slaves. So if you have a local event to go to for Juneteenth, I would highly say go. It's a great community event, great activities. A lot of times there's great food. It's just a great place to socialize and and be educated and learn about the history of the Emancipation Proclamation and the end of slavery in our country. So I know in Texas on June 19th they're doing something. In Ohio, we're getting together with people with other organizations running a Juneteenth. It's just a great way to show support for other cultures and other communities in your community.
Definitely. You can say there'd be at least one Connecticut boy out there doing it.
There you go.
Probably be at my local Juneteenth.
Well,
I'm going to
that I'm working it right now is I'm trying to get a hold of like all of the state chairs for GAL for Young Americans for Liberty. I have a list that I have to go through. I have of like everybody. I just have to reach out to them. I'm hoping that we can start from there and have each one of those people be like the standard that everybody else in the state comes to when they go to plan this thing.
Yeah.
So I've been actually forming some stuff for like when certain protests come around, like January 17th and such, where I'm gonna try to get people, like booze and stuff in each state to watch it. Not be the leader, but be a leader. Hopefully that way people can all be leaders. And
yeah, this Boogeyman posted this, and this just to not to to go back, but 100% nationalism is dangerous.
Yeah, very.
Absolutely. Everything, patriotism, nationalism. There's other, everything, every kind of ism out there is not necessarily. It's not necessarily. I mean, almost all of them. Obviously, fascism's bad, is completely bad and unacceptable. But other those nationalism is not a bad thing in moderation.
Moderation. Yeah.
World atrocities are predicated on the word nationalism.
Yes.
In some way.
Yes, and that having pride in one's nation, in one country, is not a bad thing.
No,
but when you take that to the extreme,
that's
is when
patriotism.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's patriotism.
Yeah, it is.
Nationalism is thinking that your nation is superior to others, and
correct.
That oftentimes leads into that's how Nazis
that leads into racism. It leads into intolerance. It leads into hate. It leads into forces of action that are
what America,
atrocities.
What America was like for Iraq and Afghanistan when they first started. Like there was like this fucking wave of nationalism and like patriotism. Everybody was proud to be American, freedom fries, blah blah blah.
Proud to be an American.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And then in that nationalism, we got the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
We had the war in Afghanistan. Then we started the war in Iraq, and then we just were fucking shit up left and fucking right.
Yep.
All in the name of America.
That's where it collapsed. That's where it started. That's where it really started to kick into overdrive.
Oh no! No! See now. We've been doing the same shit forever since the formation of our country.
Yeah,
we have been going into other countries and fucking shit up. We
No,
the
but
whole
I'm talking about
Muslim
Patriot
fucking.
Act.
Oh, the Patriot Act. Yes, that's where he really fucked up, and that's when we took the Fourth Amendment and wiped our asses with it.
Yeah, I mean, they fucked other countries, and they started fucking their own citizens, and it's really unbelievable how they did this.
But
And
but as far as invading foreign countries over petty little bullshit,
yeah,
for no reason, we've been doing that. We've been doing that since the fucking. We've been doing that. I mean, it started with it started with the Muslim pirates in the Treaty of Tripoli. Like the Muslims have been pissed off at us because we've been fucking with them for 200 years since our country was fucking formed.
Well, since the Barbary pirates in like the 1800s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like part of the Marine Corps is written about that.
Oh yeah. And then it got progressively where we fucked with Korea, then we fucked with Vietnam, and we fucked with Grenada, and we fucked with
But Korea,
you name the shit we fucked with.
Korea was artificial from the start. Korea wasn't ever supposed to be split. It was supposed to be one country.
Yeah, that was the red fear of Korea going full communism and us going like, oh shit, no, we got to stop communism. No, we're not. We don't need to be the world's fucking police force.
Desert Storm one.
Yeah, Desert Storm was strictly like we need to protect our oil assets.
That was if he had never invaded. What is that country?
Kuwait.
Or Kuwait. Yeah, Kuwait. If he had never invaded Kuwait, we would have never went to Iraq.
Yeah, if Saddam Hussein had not invaded Kuwait, they would have been a blip. We would never fucked with them in 2000. In 2004.
His sons would probably be in power right now.
Oh yeah, he's probably still be alive, and we wouldn't have the powder keg of a fucking power vacuum that we have in the Middle East. Because he was keeping all those different. Saddam Hussein was keeping all of those different elements around that region in check. Like there was, relatively peaceful. And then once we took him out, now it's fucking pandemonium and fucking all these different sects are fighting each other to be the ones who are in power.
And then to top it off, they created ISIS by creating a power vacuum in Libya.
Yeah, Gaddafi.
Oh, and all we ever did was, since we fucked with all this shit in the Middle East, all we're doing is breeding more people that hate our fucking country and want to fucking jihad against us. So we fucked it up even more.
I'm interested to see what happens this time around if we don't leave Afghanistan before, like we told the Taliban we were going to.
I honestly, we're not our national media will not fucking televise if troops are killed in Afghanistan. They're not going to report on it. They're not going to talk about it because it'll make Biden look bad. Because we were supposed to be out of there May 1st, and the Taliban straight up said, if you don't, we're going to start killing your people again.
Yeah.
Which he didn't pull them out, so now they're going to start killing people again. We won't hear about it because it makes Biden look like an asshole.
Now you got Israel blowing up.
Because he was an asshole.
And so, Israel's blowing up and said it's taking all the attention away.
It's covering it up. It's covering it up. So it's going to be few and far between. But if we get any actual national headlines from our own media about the shit going on in Afghanistan, because it will make Biden look bad.
I question every source that I read every single time.
And you should.
That's what I was going to say is, if they don't leave, something's going to happen. And also, we can probably get the news from I watch, I forget what it's called, but it's Iraqi TV. I mean, Iranian TV.
But they can black out that kind of stuff because you're only looking at one or two networks that will roll any kind of stuff. And they can black that shit out. It's not that hard. We have the technology to completely have a media blackout of a country if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Where nobody knew what was going on.
Now, New York Times apparently is running a Afghan war casualty report as of May of 21st. 107 pro-government forces and 122 civilians were killed in Afghanistan in the last week.
Last week?
Last week.
How many?
Really?
Well, let me do math real quick. 229 people were killed in Afghanistan last week by
A lot of them were Afghanis, though, because of that bomb, right? Yeah, they exploded a bomb in the city.
That's between May 7th and the 13th.
Yeah. Does it say U.S. service members, or does it say?
It just says pro-government forces.
I don't think U.S. service members were killed.
They're not.
I think
well, or they're not counting our U.S. They're counting our U.S. servicemen that were killed as pro-government forces.
Yeah,
you got to understand. Like the media is going to take shit and they're going to word it in such a way as to not incite the public. Going, why the fuck didn't we pull our people out when we had the fucking chance? So they're going to, instead of saying U.S. servicemen killed, they're going to say pro-government forces.
Yeah, we had the chance to pull out by not even going there. Their excuse was 9/11, but most of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they were Saudi. The enemy wasn't Saudi; it was the enemy around me. I don't know. I'm a firm believer that 9/11 was a fucking
inside shit.
9/11. As far as like the World Trade Center towers getting hit was totally, I see that as being a terrorist attack. I see that. But the Pentagon and other facilities being hit, or maybe the only real hijackers were the ones that was Flight 93 that went down in the field. But the Pentagon, that was a fucking missile that was not an airplane because, if you watch the video of the shit, you got the 767 flying in ground level. You see the light poles above it, and that wingspan should have knocked all those fucking light poles out when it impacted. But no, it was a fucking missile. And there's going to be no wreckage of an aircraft hitting the Pentagon. It's just going to vaporize. Please.
Here's the thing about 9/11. It totally happened. It was very real. But what about Building 7? How was that explained by a plane?
What about September 10th when they found the billions of dollars that went missing in the Pentagon budget?
Yeah.
And then the next day 9/11 happened, and then nobody's talked about that missing money.
Or then another thing, Timothy McVeigh, when he blew up the Oklahoma city building, all the ATF agents that day were out of work. They were out of work.
Yeah, because they knew what was going to happen, and they let it happen.
Yeah.
There's with how much knowledge, with how much intel our government has, they know shit's going to happen before it fucking happens. They just let it happen because why waste the tragedy?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That politicians have been saying that for fucking ever. Never waste a disaster, never waste a tragedy. To push through legislation that will benefit your power control. But whatever. It's unfortunately a majority of our country is the 97% of our country is fucking bunch of statist sheep who won't see, who believe everything they hear on the fucking television, even though that little oblong box sitting on your wall is probably the best hypnotist in the fucking universe, telling you all the things you want to hear, to the point that anybody gives you a sound reason that goes against it, they think you're crazy and they laugh at you. Because that's what they fucking do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. They'll laugh at you.
So,
but yeah, I got kicked.
Have you guys?
You can go ahead, Trent.
No, I was gonna say, have you guys been paying attention to how many times Alex Jones has been right this past week and a half?
Yes.
He's been right about a lot of his shit, or at least half right about his shit.
It's insane.
But here's the thing. Well, you remember how he said about FEMA and the detention camps? It just so happens now you can get your stuff from big box stores, your vaccine, and FEMA's going door to door. It's just too sus for me. This is the beginning.
Yeah, no, Gaddafi. Oh, sorry. I was just reading Boogeyman's comments here, and I was posting them up here. No, absolutely. We took out Gaddafi because he was bringing back the gold standard in Libya. He was going to go back, instead of being everything based off of the U.S. dollar, he was going to go back to the gold standard. And then all of a sudden now we have to take him out. We had to remove his regime because he was going to do something that would affect the Federal Reserve and displace our power control over the world's finances.
Affect our state's bottom line.
Basically. So now we got to trade gold to get oil from Libya? No, we're going to remove you from power. But, we've been at this for about 90 minutes now. You guys got any, let's go ahead and wrap it up. You guys got any closing remarks you want to say or anything you want to bring up before we kill it?
Just follow us on Twitter at Caucus Redacted.
Yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at PYTYR1. Also, did y'all see the Freedom Rally today? There was a worldwide Freedom Rally against the lockdowns.
Oh, I saw bits and pieces. I didn't really get a chance to see what that actually was.
Oh yeah,
Your Twitter again is
I was in the
PYTR.
chat. My Twitter is PYTYR1.
PYTYR1.
Yeah. But yeah.
Also, anybody wants to follow me on Twitter, it is DJ Tiny Tank at DJ Tiny Tank. It's the Donkey Punch Twitter feed. It's quite epic. There's a picture of my chest with taxation is theft. It's very tasteful.
Very tasteful.
So, well, my whole thing is as I tell people all the time, keep your eyes open, your mind keep your eyes open, keep your mind just as open. There's more going on than what you think is going on. The chasm between what you think is going on and what's actually going on is immense. So, do your research. Don't believe everything that comes out of the TV, and that's all I got. This has been episode 5 of Hibiscus Society News, shooting the shit. I'm Benjamin Hawk. Have a good night.
Have a good night.